You guys don't mind if I video? Okay. All right, who thinks they're a good chipper? I always ask. So the stuff we do today, this will be really important because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about how to hit a good chip shot. Okay, so we're going to talk about low point. Anybody heard me say that before? If you've taken a lesson with me, you probably heard me say low point before. We're going to talk about steepness of the swing, which I think is so important, and I think it gets overlooked in this area and maybe almost shied away from a little bit. Okay, so steepness meaning how high or how steep the club comes down, right? This would be shallow, this would be steep. Okay, so I believe that we need to have more of a steep angle of attack when it comes to chipping. All right, there's a couple benefits to that. Number one, it helps not hit the ground behind the ball. Anybody want that? All right. Lisa's like, yeah, I need that. All right. The other thing is it gives us a little bit more control. Okay, so here's the thing that, oh, look, Chris, you're late. Shocking. Sorry, I got to move this anyway. Oh, did you play? Yeah. Okay. All right, so you didn't miss anything, just all the important stuff.
Explain my golf game.
Yeah. All right, so we're talking about steep versus shallow. The whole theme about today's lesson is going to be about getting your swing to be more steep so we can create ball first contact and move the low point more in front of the golf ball. Okay, that is so important, and I think is almost worked in backwards from a lot of people that a lot of students I've worked with kind of are thinking the opposite of, all right, let's get shallow, let's get here, and then try to help the ball up, and that's what's going to help. And then what do you see? What's the shot we all have in the bag here? Or that one, right? Yeah. But then there's a chunk. So that one and the chunk, right, are both when the low point happens behind the golf ball. So both are similar to each other. One just gets lower than the other. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a good drill here to work on when I finish going through this. But here's what we got to understand. So setup, what I do in setup is all to make sure that the low point is forward. Okay, so ball position, weight, handle of the club, all of that stuff is to make sure that the low point moves this way in my swing, right? Meaning in front of the golf ball. Okay, so ball position, I want you guys to do this today. This is interchangeable, obviously, for different shots, but for today, I want to focus on just putting the ball right off your back foot. Okay, so that trail foot, ball's going to line up right with the toe. We're going to make sure that the handle is leaning towards the target. And we're going to make sure that my weight is favoring the left side. So go ahead.
Heel is in line. What was in line with
the toe? Yeah, honestly, back of your stance. I really don't care. It doesn't have to be specifically on the toe. It can be just right towards the back of your stance. Okay, so whatever, if it's the heel for you, Lisa, do that. Yeah, that's fine with me. There's definitely not a right and a wrong way. Okay, so we're going to go back foot, weight forward, handle forward. All right, all of those things help me push the low point more in front of the golf ball. Okay, so if you look at the design of this club, right, we all know what this part of the club right here is the bounce of the club. Okay, if I lean the shaft backwards, the bounce gets closer to the ground. Anybody know what shot that's good for? Sand, right? Soft, very soft sand, right? Soft sand. Okay, if I move this forward, Now that bounce gets away from the ground, okay? Leading edge gets more towards the ball, okay? So it also, the other thing is that it moves the sweet spot. Like if I had a ball right here, if this is more neutral, okay, or leaning back, you can see how low on the face it's touching, right? You guys see that? So watch as I start to move it forward. Now it goes more closer to the sweet spot. Does that make sense? Obviously, I'm not going to hit it like this, but just for kind of visual purposes there. So shaft lean, incredibly important. Okay, so we need shaft lean, we need the weight forward, we need the ball position to be correct. Okay, so from here's the swing stuff we're going to talk about. One thing, all right, this club is not going to move in an around fashion, right? That would be called shallow, right? This is really shallow, okay, and that's when you see the shots that I hit behind the ball. I'm trying to scoop it, trying to lift it up, okay? We're going to think about this being more steep, so more up, down, and then what's it do from here? Which direction does it move in from here? Well, if you turn your hips, if I keep all this connected, right, and I go from steep, down, and turn, now it comes over across. Yeah. So I don't want to have this shot that goes kind of up and down, because then I'm manipulating the plane of the swing. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So I do want to keep the connection. Okay. So I'm just trying to feel really steep. I get set up here, right? Feel steep. Okay, and that club follows me around as I turn. Okay. So one more time. Back foot, lean, shaft, club gets steep, follows me around. Okay? Question?
Are you taking the risk completely out of the shot?
That is exactly why I'm teaching you this today, because I want to take the risk. I want to make that risk a lower percentage. All right, not completely. Obviously, there's so many variables that come into this, but this is how we need to start looking at chipping. I think, again, steepness has been vilified in chipping for a long time, right? You don't want to get too steep. That's why you're digging. Both of those chip shots I hit right there, I didn't even take a divot out, right? And the club was moving straight down like that, okay? Club head was moving straight down, but I didn't take a divot, all right? So that's, yes, I am removing a ton of risk when I chip it this way, okay? So steepness, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
So when I'm doing a full swing iron, I'm finding I'm getting more closer to the heel.
Yeah.
When I'm chipping, I'm finding I'm getting closer to the toe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Still be in the middle.
I mean, I like it in the middle. It's not bad to be hitting your chip shots off the toe, but I do, you always want to try to find the middle. If you're hitting off the heel, we'll talk. We'll talk about that.
Toe, I risk going right, but if I hit the middle, you're saying that again minimizes the air.
Yeah, minimizes the air. I'm not as concerned with toe shots around the green as I am with the heel. Okay, so
you have it square or somewhat open?
I like it to be somewhat open. Okay, so again, when we hit this shot, and now we're steepening the angle. Okay, the idea is that we're actually creating a lot of spin by doing that, but I can create even more spin and more control by opening it, right? So it will actually come out, it'll still come out pretty low. I would say maybe, 3-4 degrees. It's not going to be much, right? You might get like right here, okay? But I'm still creating that steep angle and the low point forward, okay? So here. Okay. And then you get real good control of your shots around the green that way. Okay. Questions on that stuff, guys? Really good questions so far. I love that.
The putting last week, you talked about the tempo.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not trying to hit it a long way, you're not trying to hit it a short way. Same tempo. A little bit longer backswing, or do you now?
Great. No, exactly what you said, Bill. The tempo is going to be extremely important for this shot, because I am creating the distance of the shot with just the backswing. Okay, so it's going to be, this will go one distance, this will go another, and I'm just letting it almost fall from a different height. Does that make sense? Right. So I'm letting it fall from a different height. The follow through will kind of not exactly match where I bring it back to, but if I take a longer stroke back here, it's going to follow through a little bit longer. Just remember, the energy, once it gets into the ball, it's done. So anything extra over here on the other side is, almost detrimental to what we're trying to achieve here.
Do you accelerate going down? Or
No, I stay even. I would think smooth. I love the word smooth. Okay? I'm not trying to accelerate. I'm definitely not trying to decelerate. Okay, but I'm just almost letting it fall, right? So if I get it up here, it's falling. Okay, if I get it up here, it's falling, and both of those will go two different distances. All right, so just kind of let I would say if I get it here or here, the gravity is what's pulling it down.
Is that the highest you would go back? Like, do you want wanted to get a lot of distance,
There's definitely a threshold. Yeah.
change
Yeah.
your club,
Y-
but you really want to just keep it only.
Exactly. Yeah, so here's a big difference between chips and pitches, right? Pitch shots are your higher, spinnier shots. Is that you're going to get a little wrist break. So we're going to get a little wrist hinge for a pitch shot, maybe a 50, 40-yard shot, okay? For the shots we're doing today, I want the wrist to feel, yeah, kind of locked. I don't like that word, but, you know, we're not hinging at all or releasing this. This is more of a body's turn and letting the club kind of follow that center. Here, here. Okay. All right, so the drill today, get a couple here. The drill today is, so you kind of saw what I was doing there, how I was taking those shots, but not creating divots. All right, that is because I'm controlling the radius or the height of my swing. Okay, so a good way to do that, remember, this is the center of my swing. Okay, left shoulder, because it's connection to the left arm in the club. Okay, if I shorten that radius, my swing comes too high, I'll probably top it, miss it, right? If I lower that, probably hit it fat, right? So those two swings kind of look like this, right? Here's a shorten, right? All those, that's me changing the height of the arc, okay? So what I want you guys to do, the drill here, and this drill might turn into how you actually feel a chip shot, okay, is that you're going to stretch your arms out as far as you can, but touch the ground. So we're going to stretch them out. So if that makes you raise up a little bit, that's cool. That's what I want. We're going to stretch them out, make your arms extremely, as long as they can get, probably feels like your elbows are squeezing together, okay? And then you're just going to make swings from there. Now, if I move my center forward from setup and do it, right, like this, and I did it, look where the low point happens, okay? Now, what you see a lot of people do is maybe they set up here. If I kept my arms extended and did this, look where the low point happens, okay? This is the other one you see a lot of, is we'll get a good setup. This is probably most people, by the way, okay? Good setup, right? And then we'll go, now I move the low point back.
I know you're talking about me.
I know, I picked on him. He's been around a long time. Okay, so pay attention to that stuff, guys. Everything we do in setup is to move low point forward, and everything we do in the swing is to ensure that it stays there, all right? If we have this low point, like if I have a shifting center, right, in my swing like this, it's going to be inconsistent, right? Inconsistent. But if I set everything here, create a steep angle, right, and then just bring that through, we're gonna really start chipping a lot better, a lot more consistent. Ball first contact. Okay. Questions? All right, I want you to do that drill. So again, that's fully extended. Try to make some of these swings today with your feet a little bit more narrow. All right, I want you to, because that'll kind of help with the swaying motion. So feet a little bit more narrow. If you want to flare the feet out, that's fine. But get the feet a little bit more narrow, and let's make a lot of swings like this. Okay?
And how forward? You don't want it in the middle. You want it forward, like towards the left.
Correct, right? And I'll mention one thing about that swing right there, okay? We talked about the shaft angle being this way, right? So if you guys are looking at me face on, but if I'm this way, right, you guys are looking at me from here, I don't want this handle to be low, okay? See, look at the heel. The heel's kind of on the ground, the toe's off the ground. I'd much rather see the opposite. Toe on the ground, heel off the ground. Yeah. So this, again, ensures less chance of it grabbing this Velcro of a grass here. Yeah. So here, you got the toe, you got the heel off the ground, leaning forward, low point forward. I'm going to feel steep in the backswing. Okay? All right. Practice. All right, guys. I got a ton of golf balls. There's golf balls here. I'd spread out. The hardest place to chip today is going to be right on the other side of this hill. It's wet and it's tight like this. So again, try this method out maybe, and then really challenge yourself over there, because you'll see how wet and tight the lie gets over there. So check that out. I'll be around to help you guys. Yep.